Daniel, please, Jez's voice cracked as her perfectly manicured fingers reached toward the laptop screen. Her husband sat across from her in their pristine penthouse, his face unreadable in the glow of ring lights. "Just watch," he said quietly, pressing play. The anonymous podcast everyone had been obsessing over for months filled the room. But this time, the voice wasn't disguised. It was his. If you're already hooked, hit that subscribe button. This story gets darker than you think. 18 months earlier, Jez Rivera stood at a rooftop charity gala, champagne in hand, cameras flashing. Beside her, Daniel Brooks smiled warmly at donors, discussing clean water initiatives in East Africa. They looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine because they had. Vogue called them the couple redefining modern philanthropy. Jez had built an empire on authenticity. 7 million followers watched her morning routines, skincare rituals, and heartfelt talks about mental health. Brands paid 6 figures for a single post. She was more than an influencer, she was a movement. Daniel had fallen for her 3 years earlier, long before the fame. Back then, she was a struggling content creator who genuinely cared about storytelling. He loved her passion, her laugh, the way she saw beauty in ordinary moments. When he proposed, it wasn't for the cameras, though the cameras certainly found them. Their wedding video hit 10 million views. But something shifted after that. Success became oxygen for Jez, and she needed more of it constantly. Daniel noticed small changes first, how she'd delete comments asking uncomfortable questions, how she'd ghost creators who didn't elevate her brand. He rationalized it as business. Everyone had to protect their platform, right? Then came Oliver Hayes. Oliver was a 23-year-old photographer whose raw, unfiltered content about homelessness went viral overnight. His approach was everything Jez's wasn't: unpolished, real, uncomfortable. When a major documentary company approached him with an offer, they mentioned they'd initially considered Jez but wanted someone more genuine. That phrase haunted her. Jez's assistant called Oliver personally. "Miss Rivera would love to collaborate. She's willing to invest in your platform, help you scale properly." Oliver politely declined. "I appreciate it, but I work alone." Keeps things honest. The rejection stung more than Jez admitted. That night, she scrolled through Oliver's profile obsessively, wine glass in hand. Daniel was in Geneva for a conference. The penthouse felt too quiet. She opened her laptop and began typing. Within 48 hours, a coordinated attack emerged. Fake Twitter accounts accused Oliver of staging his homeless interviews. A lifestyle blogger published an investigation claiming he pocketed donations meant for subjects in his videos. Screenshots appeared, expertly fabricated, showing crude messages allegedly from Oliver's private accounts. The internet moved fast. Sponsors suspended partnerships pending investigation. His Instagram was flooded with harassment. YouTube demonetized his channel for community guideline violations. Oliver posted one response: "None of this is real. Someone's lying." But the damage was done. His credibility shattered. Within a month, he disappeared from social media entirely. Jez's numbers climbed. She'd positioned herself as someone who only collaborated with ethical creators, carefully distancing herself from the controversy she'd manufactured. Daniel knew none of this when he returned from Geneva. Jez greeted him with her brightest smile, and they filmed a couple's Q&A that became her most liked post ever. But 3 months later, something new appeared. A podcast called The Truth Algorithm started gaining traction in media circles. The anonymous host dissected influencer culture with surgical precision, exposing manipulation tactics, fake philanthropy, coordinated harassment campaigns. Each episode felt like someone had been taking notes from the inside. Jez listened to the first episode while getting her makeup done for a morning show appearance. Her hand froze mid-contour when the host described a case eerily similar to Oliver's. "Someone destroyed this creator's life," the voice said calmly. "Not through competition, but through calculated character assassination. And they're still out there, smiling for cameras." "Everything okay?" her makeup artist asked. Jez's smile returned instantly. "Perfect." That night, she couldn't sleep. She scrolled through forums discussing the podcast, reading theories about the host's identity. Some thought it was a disgraced PR executive. Others believed it was a hacker collective. No one suspected what it really was, a husband slowly discovering his wife's secrets. Daniel had started the podcast almost by accident. A colleague mentioned the Oliver Hayes situation, expressing disgust at how quickly the internet turned on people. Daniel researched it casually at first, then with growing horror as patterns emerged. Digital forensics weren't his specialty, but he knew people who could trace IP addresses, match writing styles, follow money trails. When the evidence pointed toward accounts linked to Jez's management company, he told himself there had to be an explanation. Maybe rogue employees. Maybe competitors framing her. Then he found the laptop. Jez had left it open one evening, logged into an account he'd never seen. Messages discussing target selection, payments to troll farms, instructions for manufacturing evidence. The same laptop she used to film her tearful videos about kindness and mental health. Daniel sat in their home office until dawn, reading every message. Each one felt like a knife. The woman he'd married, or thought he'd married, had systematically destroyed people for sport. He wanted to confront her immediately. Instead, he started recording. The truth algorithm became his outlet for grief and rage, disguised as media criticism. Each episode peeled back another layer of influencer manipulation, never naming Jez directly but coming closer with every upload. He told himself he was building a case, gathering courage. Really, he was giving her chances to confess. Drop a comment if you've ever trusted someone who turned out to be completely different. This gets worse. The anniversary livestream was Jez's idea. 18 months of marriage. Let's celebrate with our followers in real time. She'd planned every detail, matching outfits, champagne toasts, a surprise donation announcement to one of Daniel's charities. Daniel agreed, but added one condition. Let's watch the new Truth Algorithm episode together first. Everyone's talking about it. Jez's smile tightened. That depressing podcast? On our anniversary. It might be about us, he said carefully. The preview mentioned a power couple. Her face went pale. You're being paranoid. Then we have nothing to worry about. They sat on opposite ends of their cream sofa as 30,000 viewers joined the waiting livestream. Jez kept glancing at the camera, maintaining her performance smile. Daniel's finger hovered over the play button. Ready? He asked. She nodded, champagne glass trembling slightly. The podcast opened with audio clips, Jez's voice, slightly distorted but recognizable, discussing neutralizing a competitor. Then screenshots appeared, time-stamped and sourced. Messages she'd sent. Payments she'd authorized. A complete digital paper trail of destruction. This can't be real, Jez whispered, but her eyes betrayed her. She knew exactly what she was seeing. The livestream comments exploded. Viewers were screen recording, sharing, tagging media outlets. In real time, Jez watched her empire collapse. Brand partnerships suspended, notifications started arriving. Her follower count began its inevitable descent. She turned to Daniel, mascara already running. You did this. You did this, he replied, his voice steady despite the heartbreak underneath. I just made sure people knew. I gave you everything. This life, this platform, this. You gave me lies. He removed his wedding ring, setting it on the coffee table between them. I loved you. The real you. But I don't think she exists anymore. Jez reached for the laptop, instinct telling her to delete, control, manage the narrative. But Daniel had already sent everything to journalists, lawyers, the creators she'd destroyed. Daniel, please, she tried again, desperation replacing performance. We can fix this. Together. Isn't that what marriage means? He stood, walking toward the camera that had documented so many of their supposed perfect moments. Looking directly into the lens, he spoke to the millions watching. Love doesn't survive lies. And the truth doesn't need followers to be real. He turned off the live stream. In the sudden silence, Jez sat alone surrounded by ring lights that now felt like interrogation lamps. Her phone buzzed incessantly, notifications she couldn't control, conversations she couldn't manipulate, a reckoning she couldn't edit. Across town, Oliver Hayes received a message from an unknown number. I'm sorry for what happened to you. The truth is coming. DB. He stared at it for a long moment, then opened his camera for the first time in months. The world looked different now, sharper, more honest, worth documenting again. If this story made you think twice about what you see online, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories that expose the truth behind the perfect feeds.